December 2nd, SyFy Channel, NIGHTFLYERS.
Check it out.
It's a 10-episode based on a novella I wrote in 1980, and was made into a movie in 1987, which I signed a movie deal in 1984. Took them 3 years to get it going, and the movie came and went very quickly. I don't know if it played here at the Loews, but no, I think by 1987 this was already a sixplex or something. And then I kind of forgot about it for 30 years until like 2 years ago when they told me SyFy Channel is developing a new series based on NIGHTFLYERS. Wait a minute, I said, can they do that? I haven't sold them any rights. How could they do that without consulting me? And then I took out my contract from 1984. And, television rights. Yeah, I gave them television rights in 1984.
In perpetuity, on all known universes and alternate dimensions, forever.
But I contacted them, and we did it. And the novella. I don't know if has anyone here read NIGHTFLYERS, my novella yet? A few of you.
Paris is raising her hand.
In the novella, like 8 scientists get on a starship to explore a strange alien race, and horrible things start to happen, and most of them are dead by the end of the thing. And I said, this would be a very short series because, like, everybody dies.
But that's...
They've gone beyond that now,
yeah.
And hopefully we'll be running for many series. We have a much larger cast, so there's more people to kill horribly. And it's science fiction horror. It's more like Aliens than Star Trek says, but hopefully it'll be cool. And they're going to roll it out in a very cool way. 10 episodes. The first episode will be on December 2nd, and then the next episode will be the next night. And so you can, it's not quite streaming like Netflix and Hulu are doing, but you can watch the whole thing in like 10 days, and then hopefully we'll get a renewal for the second season, and we'll have another show.
When speaking of illustrations, these movies or these television shows, adaptations of your work, they are kind of moving illustrations, visual representations of your work. You've got more TV coming from Westeros, right? Those are the developing new things.
We're developing, as many of you know, the forthcoming season of Game of Thrones will be the last. So we will wrap that up in the spring. But HBO is developing, at this point, 5 successor series, as I'm calling them. They're all prequels. They're set before Game of Thrones. Some of them will be set only a few hundred years before Game of Thrones.
Oh, is that all?
And some of them will be set like 5,000 to 10,000 years before Game of Thrones. So they'll be a very different world. Only one of them has been greenlit right now, but they're gearing up to shoot that in Ireland. Jane Goldman wrote the script. Wonderful writer. She did several of the X-Men movies. She did Kick-Ass. She did the 2 Kingsman movies. So terrific writer, and we're going to star Naomi Watts, which is the first casting announced for it. So those of you fans of hers,
yeah,
pretty cool.
And do you have input and oversight as to how your history is developed? Will this be a parallel history to the one that you've laid out in, say, Fire and Blood? Or are you?
Well, in Jane's particular case, of course, it's set like 5,000 to 10,000 years in the past. I've been calling it The Long Night because sort of that's what it's about. It's set during the period that's referred to in the books as The Long Night. Oh. HBO has told me, stop calling it The Long Night because we haven't titled it yet. So the untitled series that may be called The Long Night is set during The Long Night, and it's... Jane and I met several times, and she came to Santa Fe, and we had some meetings there, and I've met with her in Los Angeles, and I'm communicating with her, by text and email and so forth. So I'm involved to that extent, and I've met with all of the other writers of the other 4 pilots too. Same premise. They come to Santa Fe. We meet for a few days. We discuss ideas. but I'm not involved with them to the extent that I was involved with Game of Thrones when we first began. Mainly, it's not that I don't want to be. I would love to be involved in more of these, but there's just so many hours in the day, and I do have this Winds of Winter thing to finish. And some of you, not all of you, many of you look like kind and gentle people, but there are some people out there who are kind of grouchy about it. So
well, we have the questions from the audience, so we'll get to the grouches in a moment. But if I may, since we're talking, just a little look. I didn't mean to pitch a show to you, but I'm gonna just. Have you ever thought about doing a show that is set hundreds of years into the future of Westeros, where Westeros reaches its sort of Edwardian period? So we could do kind of like a Downton Abbey in Westeros. Because I definitely would want to write and star in it.
You have a urgency to wear waistcoats and a lot of lace.
I have always had an urgency to wear waistcoats and lace.